Well, let's talk about it now. I'm joined by Dr. Deborah Brosnan, the president and founder of an international scientific consulting company which provides solutions to climate change. And as from that report, we need them. Dr. Brosnan, thanks for being with us. First up here, there's there's a lot to take away from this report, and world leaders reacted strongly. The UN Secretary General saying we're on the fast track to climate disaster. We have heard all of these warnings for quite some time, but where are we now? What are your takeaways from this report?
Oh, my takeaways from this report are that we are at a code red for the planet, but not just for the planet, but for all of us who live on planet Earth. The IPCC reports, we've had 3 of them now in the last year that have come out, have all told the same story, and each time the consequences have been more clearly articulated and or worse. As you pointed out, we are really not on track for reaching staying within the 1.5 degree increase in pre-industrial levels. There's a 38% chance. I think all of us recognize that we're about to blow past that. We're already 1.1 degrees. So the question is not how bad it is. We know how bad it is. Everybody is feeling it on the planet, whether it's droughts, whether it's heat waves, whether it's storm surge. The question now is, what are we going to do? Because we've thought enough about it, we've talked enough, now it's action time.
Right, the talk of the collapse of biodiversity, that impacts humans greatly. The report noted that green energies have become progressively more affordable. In fact, in some cases, it's more expensive to maintain fossil fuel systems. A report from Forbes in 2020 noted renewable energy prices hit record lows. Why do we still see governments lagging in transitioning?
I think there are several reasons. I mean, right now, today, between wind and solar energy, they make up about 10% of the energy use, which is fantastic. It's a rapid change. We need to speed it up. The challenges are to scale up these new alternative energies and the initial investment in alternative energies. There's still a reluctance to move away from fossil fuels, and there's huge subsidies going into fossil fuel industries. Beginning about 100 years ago, governments invested a lot of subsidies because there was a need for growth. There was a need to provide affordable energy. And these subsidies worked, and the companies made huge profits. But now we need to invest the same amount of funding, the same amount of energy into these renewable energies in order to level out the playing field and to give them a chance to really take off in the marketplace.
Right, because the solutions are there. We're just not committing ourselves to it. That's the frustrating thing. And the more I report on all these kind of things, and the tornadoes and the hurricanes and the melting ice, it scares people. And I think there's not enough focus on there are solutions. People just have to make sure that the people that they're voting for want to do something about it. And when we talk about climate change, you know, we often hear of the higher levels of carbon dioxide and the need to replant our forests as well. But also a huge danger is methane, which can come from things like landfills and agricultural practices. How do we get that under control?
Yeah, that's a very tricky one that's becoming more. I think there's more awareness about methane now. It's 80% contributes more than 80% more than carbon in terms of warming, and we need to reduce the emissions by about 1/3. Again, we're really starting to look at the technologies. One of the big areas are farming. Obviously, dairy farming has been one of the bigger contributors, and we're really only starting to tackle that. I think we're much more focused on reducing carbon emissions at this point.
And the latest report from the UN comes on the heels of another concern. Australia's Great Barrier Reef is undergoing its 6th bleaching caused by climate change. What's the connection here? Why are coral reefs so important? And what is the sign for us all when something like this happens? And what are the chances of restoring it?
Oh, the Great Barrier Reef coral reef, I think the story is really dramatic, and it's extraordinarily sad. So the Great Barrier Reef is one of the largest coral reefs in the world in terms of length. It is over 1,400 square miles, which is about the same distance as if you were driving from New York City down to Key West in Florida. And what we're seeing this year is about 1/3 of that reef that's been studied. At least 60% of the corals are bleaching. Now, bleaching occurs when corals that look like sea anemones but have these plants inside their body that give them the color. When the temperature gets too high, those plants get expelled or just simply leave the coral, and the coral turns bone white. So bleached coral is a very sick coral. And in 2016, we had a major bleaching event, and 30% of the bleached corals actually died. So what we're seeing is a direct correlation between climate change, increased water temperatures, and the death of some of the major ecosystems of the world. Now, while coral reefs are only, less than 1% of the planet, they provide basically goods and services to 500 million people every day in the world. 500 million people depend on them. And the loss of that is the loss of biodiversity, the loss of fisheries, and the loss of our own well-being.
Yes, we need ecosystems for our own survival. Thank you so much for your expertise and your insights. Dr. Deborah Brosnan, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.